All right, so here's the bell ringer for today. What event symbolized the start of World War II? Explain what Blitzkrieg means. Within your response, detail how this tactic works and how it's successful for the German takeover of most of mainland Europe. So I'll give you a minute, pause the video, and you can write down your response. All right, so back to it. So, what event symbolized the start of World War II? Well, it was the invasion of Poland in 1939. And we talked right before that invasion happened, Germany signed a non aggression pact with the Soviet Union. And the reason for it is because Hitler wanted to claim back more of this land, Lebensraum, right? Breathing room, living space for the German people. And at one point, that land in Poland was also controlled by Russia, the Soviet Union. So they agreed on terms of land, but in all reality, again, that alliance doesn't seem like it should last, which it won't. And this friendship between the two countries, it just seems weird because we talked about how Stalin, communism, far left political spectrum, and with Hitler, fascism, far right on the political spectrum. So these two ideals are two total ends of the political spectrum. Okay. And when it comes to the idea of Hitler, right, and he rose to power, he blamed Jews, he blamed communists for a lot of the issues in Germany after World War One. So with that, again, this alliance just seems weird. But in any case, this allowed for Hitler to utilize Blitzkrieg tactics, lightning warfare, to attack Poland and take over large chunks of land within Poland and eventually take over half of it, right? The other half going to the Soviet Union. And at the same time, this reassured Germany that they don't have to fight a two-front war. So one of the biggest thorn in the sides for Germany in World War One was that they fought this two-front war for the majority of the war from the very beginning. And when it comes down to it, Hitler realized that if he's going to take out the Allied powers, which they're weak, their militaries weren't built upon after World War One, well, he wants to make sure he can reassure one side, right? He wants to make sure that he can have some sort of agreement with the Soviet Union, even though he hates them, right? Even though he realizes that they are the true enemy of Germany, right? And this fascist state, right? For now, he's going to make sure that they can somewhat see eye to eye. But in any case, the invasion of Poland in 1939, this is the start of World War II. So Blitzkrieg means lightning warfare. And we talked about how this was utilized on the battlefield to take over large chunks of land, not only in Poland and Eastern Front, but we'll talk about today with the Western Front and moving into France, moving into Western Europe. And eventually, yeah, Hitler will attack the Soviet Union here soon enough and take over large chunks of land with Blitzkrieg attacks. So first, it's the Luftwaffe, right? The Air Force that comes in and loosens up the defenses. Okay, with these bombing runs, these strategic bombing runs, they can really eliminate a lot of the heavy defenses that the Allied powers might have, Poland might have. So with that, the Luftwaffe comes in, strikes first, and then after that is followed through with the armored division. So tanks, and with these tanks, they're more advanced than what you saw in World War One. Okay, the armaments on them are a lot more sophisticated. The armor, right, on these tanks are a lot dense, and they can move at faster paces, faster means. Their maneuverability is a lot better. And Germany's known for their tank divisions, known for the advancements, the technology on their tanks. One in particular is the radios, right? These portable radios are used for fast, efficient communication so that you can use these armored divisions, these tanks on the battlefield at its highest capability. So attacking the defenses, attacking weak lines, weak spots within these areas of the Allied powers, what they might have established. So after the tanks roll through and pretty much destroy any other defenses, strong defenses, well, the infantry come in. And with the infantry, they're utilized on the battlefield, right? The Wehrmacht, the German troops, to pretty much take out anybody that's left, right? So after the destruction of the Luftwaffe, the tanks, which communications used on the battlefield really for the first time with these armored divisions, then the infantry come in and mop up everything else. So that's how Germany took over large chunks of land, pretty much all of mainland Europe, within a short year or two, not even. All right. So with that, Blitzkrieg was used pretty heavily. So today we're actually going to talk about after the successful invasion of Poland by the German army, right? After they reassure the Eastern Front with that non-aggression pact, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, Okay, now they're going to look west, right? Now they're going to look west to try to punish and burden France, and if they can, take out Great Britain. That would be ideal for the German army. Just check right here. Okay. All right, so we got Fall of France 1940, and you got the evacuation of Dunkirk and Operation Dynamo, which evacuation of Dunkirk, Operation Dynamo, pretty much the same thing. But I'll give you some time, pause the video if need be, and write down these terms. All right, so let's get to it. Like I said, we left off with Blitzkrieg attacks and how Germany pretty much took over Poland with ease, and the Soviet Union marching in from the east, they really didn't have a shot, right? They didn't really have a chance. They're getting invaded by from both sides by two very large armies. Germany, especially, utilizing these Blitzkrieg attacks. So with that, okay, we talked about Blitzkrieg. There we go, right? And with taking sides, I know we talked about this quite a bit, and I know we mentioned a little bit already here with the alliance systems, but the Axis powers by 1940, we have Germany, Italy, and Japan. One thing to note, far right on the political spectrum. Okay, with Germany and Italy, they are fascist dictatorships with Hitler and Mussolini, right, of Italy. And then with Japan, they are more of a military dictatorship, extreme nationalism, okay, with Hideki Tojo. And then the Allied powers by 1939, really all we got is Great Britain and France. And they're trying to hold things together, try to prevent a war. Remember the appeasement for so long. But after the invasion of Poland, well, that was the last straw. They had to do something. So with that, right, Hitler decides to look west now. Again, they have the non-aggression pact with the Soviet Union. They don't have to worry about the Eastern Front. So they look to take care of France. So with that, in 1940, right, Germany attacks Denmark and Norway, and they fall pretty easy. So at Denmark and Norway, they're in the northern part of Europe. Denmark's right above Germany, and they also look to Norway. And the reason for Denmark and Norway, which we took the map quiz, you should know where these locations are. But if you need to, check them out again. But with that, they have now control of the North Sea, right? They have a stronger control, I guess. Great Britain still has a very strong navy, but Norway as well. So Norway now they have a pivotal point to look and maybe have some sort of benefit, advantage in the North Sea to build up their navy once again, to look to maybe invade Great Britain and maybe try to solidify and restrict any type of trade that they might have with the outside world. Again, Great Britain's an island. They're restricted to what type of, limited to what type of resources they have. That's why during that age of imperialism, that expansion, right, they needed to do so because they're limited to what resources they have. They were a very small island. So Germany realizes if we cut them off, right, we can maybe push them out of the war, make them surrender pretty quick and easy. And if that's the case, well, if they take care of France and Great Britain, they have the whole Western Front solidified. They have all of Europe controlled. And there's just no way, let's say if the United States does join, where they can maybe set up shop, where they can maybe set some sort of invasion point to try to stop this Western wall, right? The Atlantic wall is what the Germans called it. So in 1940, they looked at Denmark, Norway, they take it pretty easy. Then, same thing as World War One, like the Schlieffen Plan, they don't decide to attack France at its strongest position, its most defended position, which is that Maginot Line. They decide, again, to go through the Low Countries, Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, and they actually march through the Ardennes Forest, which was a thick forest. No one really expected Germany to attack through this land once again, like they did in World War One, but they did so. And now with these armored divisions, these tanks, which really weren't seen too much, like you said, in World War One, but now in World War Two, especially, to move all these divisions, to move all these supplies, to move all these divisions through this thick forest, it just wasn't expected at all by France. So with that, now Germany has the ability to surprise attack them, and they move at a fast pace. And if you guys get a chance, maybe look into some of the research behind it, where there's actually beliefs that the Wehrmacht, the German troops, were literally aided by methamphetamine to continue these fast-paced movements and these strikes, these advancements through the Low Countries in Western Europe. Crazy to think about, I know, but how do you even come up with an answer, an explanation to how fast they move? Well, maybe in this case, drugs were used. But anyway, with that, Germany now turned to France, and they really moved very quick with Blitzkrieg attacks to take over large chunks of France within weeks, literally within weeks. and they take more land within a week, 1 week, than all of Germany did in World War One, totally combined. So it's just amazing how fast these Blitzkrieg attacks, these advanced, sophisticated, tied in with communication, these attacks of Germany are moving in Western Europe. So with that, they actually stranglehold Great Britain before they can get majority of their troops on the battlefield on mainland Europe. And one point, especially because the German army was moving so quick, they actually surround a beachhead in northern France called Dunkirk. So with Dunkirk, okay, this is a small beachhead in northern France, and 330,000 British troops were just dumped there to try to stop this German advancement. But the Germans moved so quick that they literally caught them with their pants down around their ankles, literally. And Hitler, German army, right, had Dunkirk surrounded. And it was to a point 330,000 troops, British troops, were stranded on the island. It came to a point, it's like, what do? Do you surrender all these troops? Because if you do, there goes the bulk of the British army. And if that happens, Great Britain really has no other answer other than to surrender. They have to, with 330,000 troops gone with literally a snap of a finger. But for some reason, Hitler stops the advancement. He believes that the German troops need to have somewhat of a break. They invaded into Poland, they invaded into Denmark, they invaded into Norway. Now they invaded into majority of northern France, and they stopped because Hitler wants to give his troops some rest. But if they just would have solidified the beachhead, if they just would have kind of took it over, then chances are this war would have been won in the Western Front by Germany very quick in early 1940. Luckily, that didn't happen. And Great Britain was really sitting there with some sort of what do you do? So Winston Churchill, who is now the new Prime Minister of Great Britain, he's an important figure I'd like you to know, which I should have put as a vocab. Make sure you add him, Winston Churchill, to your vocab. Churchill says, well, we need to try to do something to try to save these troops, these stranded troops on the beachhead of Dunkirk. And in doing so, he actually launches Operation Dynamo, where he asks individuals, these private shippers, these people that own a boat in Great Britain, which a lot of them did. Obviously, it's an island. And he asked the private, the private organizations, the private businesses, these people to use their own boats to sail across the English Channel and rescue as many troops as possible. Because the Luftwaffe, they continue to strike the beachhead. They continue to literally lay waste to the beachhead as a lot of these troops are stranded. And again, they're kind of going further than what Hitler ordered, but still, they saw the opportunity to eliminate these troops, 300,000 of them. And again, luckily, German army stopped, but it was actually a successful evacuation, a successful evacuation of these troops off the beachhead of northern France back to Great Britain. And with that, right, this kind of saved the day. Great Britain could fight another day, but again, it's not like you're winning wars when you're evacuating a beachhead. And that's what Churchill says here, this quote: wars are not won by evacuations. Yes, it was successful. Yes, it was showing Great Britain's pride, how the people of Great Britain don't want to ever give up, how they don't want to surrender, and they don't want to, allow Germany to take over these strong, these lands here. And just maybe fighting it another day was somewhat of a moral victory, but when you're looking at strategic victory, not so much. All right, so in any case, Germany continues this movement, and with that, okay, we'll talk about the Blitz here later. But with that, France does fall. Okay, France falls within less than a couple months, and Germany takes over France with ease. And you can see here with pictures, Hitler taking pictures of himself and his Nazi officials in front of the Eiffel Tower. And he also has France surrender at the wagon of Compiègne. The same wagon, the same rail car that Germany surrendered the armistice, right, in 1918 on November 11th. And he actually pulled this wagon, this rail car, out of a museum and put it in the exact same location for France to surrender. And with that, France surrenders. They fall to Germany within literally over 1 month, okay, less than 2 months. And it just shows that Germany is a force to be reckoned with once again. And now they're successful on taking over France, one of the strongest of the Allied powers, the one pillar of the Allied powers. And now Great Britain's on their own. They're isolated. They're on an island, and they have no footing now in Europe. So with that, we'll talk more with the Battle of Britain, the Blitz, okay, and how Germany's going to try to force Great Britain into surrendering. But in any case, make sure you check out the videos I attached to the video lesson. It talks about Dunkirk. There's a trailer for the Dunkirk movie that came out not too long ago. I think you'll find it interesting. And also the surrender of France in 1940, right? How they surrendered in the exact same location that Germany surrendered in World War One. Again, for Hitler, he was throwing salt in the wound. And afterwards, he was parading around Germany, showing that he is this godlike figure for the German people. He has literally followed through with all of his plans and all of his ideals when it comes to getting back the lands of Germany, and then some. Now taking it out on the Allied powers that punished them after World War One. So you can see how the German people sought Hitler in this view of this high stature. Okay, he's following through with all of his promises and then some. So that's where we're going to end today. We're going to talk about the Battle of Britain more on Monday and the Blitz. With that, here's your assignment. So you go to modules. You'll see it attached here, and I'm going to publish them here shortly so that you guys can have access to it. But in any case, this is what I'd like you to do today. You'll see the video lesson. So Hitler looks west, boom. Here is the video lesson for today. The Blitzkrieg and Hitler looks west. We talk about his dominance in Poland, Denmark, Norway. Now he takes over France in less than a month, right? Well, a little bit over their month. But anyway, here's the assignment, Fall of France. France's surrender, 1940. So you're going to click on the assignment. Okay, it will bring up a link to the reading, which this is what it looks like. Bam, France surrenders. Read through this, very interesting stuff. And then answer the questions that are attached. Once you're finished with that, you're good. Make sure you hold on to your bell ringers for next week. I know we only had 2 this week because the quiz, the map quiz, and then the test. So hold on to them. If you want to start a new vocab list for this part of World War II, go ahead. Or if you just want to continue the list for the whole chapter of World War II, that's fine. Whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Okay. All right. So that's all I got. Again, hold on to your bell ringers until next week. I'll add them all up next week. Okay. So we should have maybe 7, hopefully. Well, no, obviously we have 3 days next week. So hopefully we have 5. All right. Take care. Have a good one.